Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you once again for tuning in this week. I do hope that you're settling in nicely into the year of 2023, and I hope that all your wishes, your dreams, your manifestations come into form and into reality in this year of 2023 for you all. Well, today let's crack on. We've got a wonderful show for you lined up because we're going to be talking about maybe it's because I'm a wanderer, and I'll dive deep into that subject matter in a moment. Also in today's show, we're going to have the channeling from Spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for Spirit to communicate their wisdom through and manipulate my voice and mannerisms in order to do that. Also, we have the weekly energy forecast reading to help you navigate your way through the course of this week, and that's all in today's show. So let's scroll back, shall we? And so, like I say, we're going to be discussing maybe it's because I'm a wanderer. So what am I talking about there? Well, basically, I'm talking about being a multiple dimensional being, the ability to travel on different frequencies, on different realities, and we're all very, very capable of doing this. In fact, we all do this every single day of our lives, whether we're conscious that we're doing it or not. We are shifting vibration, we're moving in between dimensions in order to weave the tapestry of our own lives. So, like I say, with this in mind, it all stems back to energy, and we're all energy. Everything is energy, is frequency, isn't it? And the thing with energy is it's constantly moving, it's constantly changing its course, its pathway, it's changing its frequency. It's either higher or lower, or that can be interpreted into different choices that we make and we decide in our life as well, which I will dive deep a little bit more with that as well. But also with this in mind, being a multiple dimensional traveler, shall we say, there's multiple options, different realities that we can visit. And like I said in that opening statement, we're all doing this, whether we're conscious of that we're doing it or not. I mean, we all go to bed at night and we all sleep, don't we? And during the course of that sleep, we go into a form of dream state. Some of us do. Most of us will also be moving out of our physical body in terms of our energy, in terms of our essence, our soul, and we're connected to our physical body by a silver cord, which enables us to travel in different dimensions and do continue our work as a soul being whilst our physical body is relaxing, is gaining its strength, is gaining its energy, ready to process the next day when we wake up. But yet our soul never rests, it never sleeps, it continues on its journey, and it helps out in multiple dimensions as well. With this being the case, I dare say those of you that are listening will have woken up and you've had a full night's rest, maybe even more sleep than what you would normally require. And yet you wake up feeling absolutely shattered, and you just feel really tired and you can't seem to get that energy back. Well, this is part of it because, like I say, the soul never rests. So while the physical body is resting and rejuvenating itself, the soul is out there on a rescue mission of some kind. Maybe you had to be in a different timeline, a different reality, in order to learn and grow and expand and bring forward ingredients, messages, information, so that you could bring that back into your reality within your physical life, within your physical body, if that makes sense. I know I'm going a little bit deep with this, but it all makes sense if you understand the bigger picture, because we're all here to expand, to learn and grow, and to add that information to the collective library so that we can all benefit from that, including the creator, which in essence we all are a part of the creator. So we're all in essence a creating being within ourselves. So with this being the case, this is why we do it. This is why we go off on these journeys. We may be correcting wrongs in a past life whilst we're out astral traveling. We may be helping out in the future. Again, it's all down to perspective, because what we consider to be past and future is in the reality of it all, there's only one time, and that is now. Everything's happening now, and it's where we place our attention, our consciousness, and that's where we can be. And that, in essence, is how we are multiple dimensional beings, because it's where we focus our intention. With this being the case as well, as I'm sure you'll all agree, we've all had to make choices, and we make choices on a daily basis. And with each one of those choices contains an energy, a frequency, a different reality. And so it's dependent upon our own, shall we say, personal choice of free will, where we're going to place our attention on. So what choice are we choosing, and what is influencing us making that choice? And when we get to the essence of that, then we can realize that actually that choice will then manifest into a separate timeline to maybe the one that we was previously on. And so this is how we're, shall we say, moving in between dimensions, because with each choice there is an alternate life, an alternate version of yourself that continues to live on, even if you haven't chosen that choice and you've moved on to another choice. That reality is still carrying on. And so it's there for you if you do make a choice a little bit later down the line to go back on that track. That life will still be there for you. That timeline will still be there for you. So we can sort of meander in and out of these multiple dimensions, versions of ourselves, in order to stick to our soul plan, if you like. And with this being the case, this is what our spirit guides are for, to help us make these choices, to help us. They're not going to tell us what choice to make, but they're going to give us an informed feeling and emotion, which path is the path of least resistance for us to choose in order for us to stay connected to our soul contract that we've made prior to incarnating here on the earth plane. So they're there to help us in order to find the path of least resistance with this. But it inevitably, it is our choice at the end of the day. So if we choose something different, then we experience a different timeline. And but all roads lead to Rome, so to speak. So all of these choices that we choose, they all end up where we're going back to our original soul plan, and we all get there in the end. But some paths are shorter than others. Some choices we makes life a lot difficult for us, yet we still arrive at the same destination, if you know what I mean. Yet if we listen to that intuition, that influence from our spirit guides and spirit helpers, then they help us find the path of least resistance, so that we can flow through our life on our soul plan in order to extract as much wisdom as possible without it causing any detriment to anyone or ourselves. And so we can dive really deep with this subject. So I'm just going to turn it round a little bit. and say, actually, with our focused intentions, so our choices, what do we feel we need to do, and what do we feel brings us joy in our life? And when we focus our intentions on that, then this is where we can tune in, if you like a radio station, into frequency. And when we match those frequencies and everything lines up, then that's when we can enter that different version of ourselves, that multiple dimension being that we are. We can connect with these different choices, these different realities of ourselves. And when we focus our attention on that, that becomes our now moment consciousness, our reality, as long as we give it our time and attention. When we cease doing that, then obviously that's when we shift into a different reality. And again, we're constantly surrounded by these choices. Like I said earlier, whether we're conscious that we're making those choices or not, this is always happening around us. So in many respects, we are actually skipping timelines, aren't we? We're skipping from one reality, one version of ourselves, into another version of ourselves. And how many people that are listening to this right now have had either a relation or a friend say, "You've changed. What's happened? You've changed all of a sudden." I mean, we've all experienced that at one point in our life, haven't we? And this is because they've seen the difference in us, because we've made a different choice on our timeline, and maybe they're experiencing that different alternative version of ourselves. We're still our essence, aren't we? But because we've made a different choice, it sort of manifests where we're behaving slightly differently. We have different mannerisms. We may hold ourselves differently, physically speaking, and people do tend to notice this. So we literally do skip timelines. But also, you'll find that those of you that are more inclined to be aware of your multiple dimensional traveling, you'll have a natural curiosity in history and in people and in just things in general like that. You'll find yourself people watching, not because you're strange or weird or anything like that, but there's a natural curiosity there. Again, you're observing the changes in them. You may be observing the choices that they make, and that you find that fascinating. You may be fascinated by their past and their cultural history, and all of these things will become more aware. You'll become more aware of when you start and think in this term of being a multiple dimensional traveler, if you like. A lot of these things will interest you a lot more, and you'll find yourself going in and out of thoughts, thinking very deeply about these matters. So with this in mind, also you'll notice that people come in and out of your life, as I'm sure you've all experienced that. And we just get on with things, don't we? And we keep on going, and we go to the next choice and the next level within our life. And yes, people do come and go, and it's part of the rich tapestry of our lives. And in many respects, they're almost like players, if you like, in a game. They come in to teach us something, and we come in to teach them something. And once we've learned that lesson, then both parties carry on their journey and go their separate ways in order to expand that wisdom and grow. Again, giving their experience to the greater good, to the collective, so that on an energetic level, we can all thrive and learn from those experiences. And so with this being the case, I mean, sometimes we do have periods in our life where we do long for the people in our past to be in our now moments in our life, or indeed in our future moments within our life. But in actual fact, if we were to analyze that a little bit more closely, we'll see, well, actually, we fulfilled that lesson They fulfilled their lesson with us, we fulfilled that lesson with them. And so unless we make that conscious choice, that decision to go back there, then we will continue to go on the different timeline. Because sometimes we do meet up with these people again, in and out the course of our lives. And then they'll flirt out again, out the lives. And then, it's like they come in and out when need be. And it's all for a reason, in my experience anyway. And so, treat people with that love, with that respect, because they're going through the same process as you, and we're all here to learn. We're all here to grow and expand because we're all part of the same thing. We're all the part of the greater good. We're all part of the great creator. We are all creators in that respect. So nobody is greater than anybody else. We're all the same. And so when we realize that and we show that level of love and respect and gratitude for the situations within our lives, then we can start and flow with much more ease and grace, again following our soul path with the help and guidance of our spirit guides will in essence help us to navigate that role a lot easier. With this as well, we're constantly evolving. I mean, if you were to, say, contemplate on the fact where you were 5 years ago and compare that to where you are now within your life, and you go back and you think, well, what was I thinking back then? Why did I make that choice? Why was I hanging around with those people? Why did I wear those clothes? What was I listening to back then? And we was all at a different frequency level, wasn't we? And we was all making different choices around those frequencies that were available to us at the time. But without that occurring, we wouldn't be where we're at now in our lives, because it's added up. All those frequencies, all those choices have led us up onto our pathway, what we're experiencing in our now moments. So you can see a dramatic change when we do that, when we reflect upon where we were at least 5 years ago. And so we can see how the process works and unfolds when we treat it like that. The fact that we're making conscious choices or subconscious choices in many cases, and it's taking us in and out of different versions of ourselves. And those of you that are listening to this, I guarantee that you're a different version of yourself than you were 5 years ago. And so there's proof in this madness that I call it madness, but these principles that I'm speaking about with you today. Also, with this being the case, you've got to understand that in each moment you have the power to change your thoughts, to change your frequency, to change your energy, and indeed to change your direction within your life. Now, there's obviously a lot of contributing factors that will maybe hinder that because of circumstances, situations, but inevitably it all starts with you. It all starts with your focused attention, your frequency, where you're wanting to be, what you're wanting to achieve. And when we realize that we have this power to change our lives around and turn it to the best version of ourselves, then we can start to bring in the beautiful blessings that have always been here for us from the day we were born into our physical reality. We can tune into that frequency, we can home into those thoughts, those feelings, and then we can move on to that timeline where that occurs, and we experience that in our now moments because we're giving it our thoughts, our attention, we're giving it our constant frequency, and we're leveling up with that frequency. So if we see things in this respect, then life starts to take a very positive turn in the right direction, and we can get back on track, so to speak. You remember me saying earlier about the path of least resistance, which is what our spirit guides and helpers are around us for, to help us stay on that path of least resistance, on our soul agreement, So when we align with all those frequencies, we get back onto our soul agreement, and we're no longer struggling in life. We're actually thriving with ease and grace, but we're learning at the same time. So there's lots to consider with this topic, and I know I've gone probably quite deep today, and you may have to listen to this episode again on catch up in order to make more sense of it. But hopefully it's helped you have that inquiring mind along the lines of these subject matters, and also taking your power back, your energy back, and trusting those vibrations as well. Now, with this, I'd like to share a few examples with you, things that I've experienced. And with this being the case, I mean, I've many years ago, I moved home for the first time. I think I was about 17 or 18, something like that. And I had a collective of friends at the time. At the time, we were happy-go-lucky young kids. We had a laugh. And at the time, I just used to go with the flow. I didn't see who they truly were as people. And as it unfolded, there was lots of lessons learned in this scenario. I learned independence, obviously, moving out there. I learned how to budget, all the standard things that you do when you move out of your parents' home. So I learned all of those. But I learned a lot about people as well, and the way that they thought, and the way that they behaved, and the way that I was allowing them to behave in that manner around me as well, and the way that I was behaving as well. So there was lots I was learning there, but also this helped me on my spiritual journey, because this is where I first became aware of my spiritual gifts and abilities. I became aware of automatic writing, and then that led on to clairaudience, clairvoyance, and it all sort of unfolded in that direction, if that makes sense. If it hadn't have been for this situation, me moving out and me going through, I would say, the turmoil I did with those so-called friends I assumed were friends at the time, then I don't feel as though I would be sat here talking to you now and would have had the experiences that I've gone through in order to get me on my spiritual path. So with this being the case, on a subconscious level, I believe I made that choice back then in order for me to connect with the truth of who I am, in order for me to get those lessons, those blessings, from those circumstances, to feel more independent as well, but also predominantly to understand my spiritual awakening, and to have that space in my life where I made time and made that available so that I could experience that spiritual awakening. And indeed, like I say, in doing so, the rest is history, so to speak. So in many respects, that happened for the greater good. And a lot of those so-called friends in that period of my life, I haven't seen from that since then, because I understood them for who they were, and they weren't who they were portraying themselves to be. And so on a level, I made that choice not to empower them or give my energy away to people like that. And that's not being disrespectful to anybody. It's just the fact that I became more awake, more aware, and more developed as an individual, where I didn't need to sort of devolve, if you know what I mean. I was evolving, not devolving. So why would I want to go on that path again? So I found that very fruitful and very helpful for my life. Also, with this being the case as well, another example is, obviously, when we go to sleep, we astral travel, we dream, don't we? We go on journeys. And like I said this earlier, in fact, when we wake in the morning, we may have had a full night's sleep, yet we feel absolutely drained and exhausted. And this is because our soul is always working, is always traveling, is always constantly moving, shifting frequencies. And like I said earlier, also, we're connected by a silver cord to our navel on our physical body. to our soul, which enables us to meander through these dimensions and to do this astral traveling whilst our physical body is in sleep state. So that's something else that we do in this as well. And obviously, when something comes to an end in our life, sometimes I'm sure we've all experienced this. There's an element of sadness, an element of grief, and those of us that are more aware of this situation of being a multiple dimensional traveler will know that actually we're on the cusp of something beautiful unfolding. And in fact, when something does end, it's an opportunity for a new doorway to open up. And of course, when we realize that, we don't show that same level of anxiety that we once did when we went through these experiences. So we respect the situation for what it is and the people within those situations. And like I said earlier, we notice that friends come and go. And this is for a purpose. They've served their lessons. We've served our lessons with those individuals. And so that this is where those paths end and we move on to different pathways. And like I say, when you understand this and remove that sense of anxiousness and anxiety out of the equation, you become more confident and comfortable with the fact that you are shifting your frequencies and you're making conscious choices to enable you to expand and grow as well. You'll notice that it's same with when you leave a job, another one fills its space. Something better is coming along there. So don't feel that something's ended. That's it. That's me done. Nothing else. There's something better on its way to you. And there's always that frequency there available to you at any one given moment. You'll notice that obviously relationships as well, if you're in a partnership or a romantic relationship, when they reach their natural end conclusion, yes, there's a period of grief, a period of gratitude after that event, but usually in the case of energy, there is something better on its way to you, something that's going to help you expand and grow, and also without sounding disrespectful to all parties concerned, but your previous relationships have actually helped you get on that path to move on to the next one. Without that, you wouldn't be able to do it. So everybody and everything has played a part in the role of helping you to upcycle your frequencies, to make that choice in order for you to expand and grow and learn and follow your soul life and your soul lessons on your soul pathway. So I hope this little conversation has at least given you something to think about and to let you know that how important you are as an individual, as a soul, and that your opinion counts, and also that where you spend your focused time and attention on is actually you're making a choice and you're shifting your timelines, you're moving into a new or an old version of yourself when you decide to do this. Well, now we're moving into the next segment of the show, which is your channeling from the world of spirit. And this is going to be the second channeling of this year of 2023. So I'm very excited to hear what spirit have to say about what we're to look out for in this new year there as well. And as many of you know, those that are regular listeners to the show will know that in order for me to get into this trance state, for spirit to bring this information through, I have to go through quite a lot of discipline, what information that I take in from the TV, what music I listen to, the company I keep, friends, etc., family, and the food that I'm ingesting and the drink that I'm ingesting as well. I have to monitor all of those things, as well as keeping my vibrations high and clear in order for spirit to make this blending occur, for them to bring forward this information. Also, there's a level of trust, obviously, with doing this sensitive line of work and doing it on a regular basis, keeping those times for trance and trance only, so that you build that relationship up with your guides, with the new communicators that are wanting to come through, and that they know that they have that time slot in order to blend their frequencies with yours and come forward and bring that information forward. Now, before I do go into trance, I always set intentions with an intentional prayer, inviting those of a higher vibration that wish to share their calming, their loving, their healing, and their the beautiful information that we need to know at that moment in time. So just a little window, a little insight for you there of how I go about doing this before going into trance. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the second trance of this year. And if you want to take notes, please feel free to do so.
Hello there. This year's going to be a tremendous one, the year of 2023. A great year for unfoldment for all of you that are paying attention and listening to this transmission as we broadcast this right here, right now. It's going to be full of ups and downs, peaks and troughs, if you like. For everybody that's listening, it will be affected by the frequency changes and the differences in your societal orchestration, shall we say, for this year of 2023. It's going to be one of unfoldment for you all. You're going to realize the truth of who you are in all of its strength and glory. For some of you, it may come as a big shock and surprise that everything that you have been told prior to hearing this has been, shall we say, fabrication in order to keep you small, in order to stop you from ascending and being the ultimate version of your true essence. It's going to be a wonderful year this year for you, with all of its peaks and troughs. It's going to be one of self-development and unity and community. All of these values will be highly strong this year. You will find that you will be able to manifest your dreams, your desires that come from your heart, which is inspired from your soul. You will find that these parts of your reality come into form a lot quicker than they once did, simply because all of the elements are aligning. The thinning of the veil has already occurred. And so what you're feeling, what you're communicating, can be shadowed by the universe. So make sure that you're choosing and with intention, with truth, not out of fear, not out of misalignments, because the universe will only respond to the energy and the effort that you put in. So if you're thinking in terms of fear, or fear-based constructs, then the universe will manifest that into your physical form reality. So be careful, choose wisely, and understand the power that you have within yourself, that you are a transmitter and a receiver of energy and information. And when you realize that this is so, then you will show that level of utmost respect, more so now than ever. There's going to be a lot of you that are going to be experiencing sleepless nights, and we don't mean to put a damper on things by telling you this, but what is occurring is simply that you are no longer requiring as much rest or sleep as you once did. You will be also finding that whilst you're in your time of rest, in your beds there, you will be receiving energetic upgrades to your DNA configuration, also your energetic frequency. And so you will notice that upon awakening, or at least being awake the morning after, the night before, you will notice that you're becoming increasingly sensitive to energy and your environment in which you interact with. You will notice, shall we say, that you will have a different reaction to the food and drink stuffs that you consume. What you once enjoyed and what you once celebrated with, you no longer to be able to tolerate that sort of substances anymore. You will find that your body will simply want to reject that form of food and that form of liquid. It will no longer have a place in your, shall we call it, your body temple, because of the sensitivity of your instrument, your physical body. It will require that you look after it at a higher level than you have done in your past. And any substances that contain any negative or low-based attributes to them will instantly, as we say, be rejected by your physical body. So pay attention to these happenings occurring to you in your year 2023. You will find that you will be eating a lot less than what you once did. You will consume foods that make you feel highly vibrational, that give you the energy, the sustenance that you need in order to perform your tasks and carry out your daily duties. You will find that you'll be eating less is more, little and often, rather than saving yourself for one big meal once a day. You'll find that that will be too much all in one go. So by keeping yourselves topped up with high vibrational foods and drinks, you will find that you will slowly get used to this new change. In the beginning, you will experiment with certain foods and drinks, see what works, what doesn't work, and then you will be able to make your own assessments on what works for you. Because as you know that you all vibrate at a different rate of frequency, and so what is good for one individual in terms of food and drink will no longer work for another individual. It is on an individual basis, you understand. So you must pay attention. Never mind the guidance that is given to you from your, shall we say, medical community. You must learn and grow with what works with your physical body, what works with you individually, and base your dietary requirements around those principles. It's going to be a year where you're going to be witnessing other dimensions, other realities in your current reality. What we're referring to is the fact that different frequencies, different alignments, different universal energy forces will be noticeable in your timeline of your life. You may get fleeting glances of these other worlds interacting, coming in and out of your dimension. It will happen very quickly. You will also notice different shapes, different colorations, also different sounds entering your dimension that are do not have a place in your dimension, but you will nevertheless witness them. This is simply the different frequency bands that you are experiencing. Some of you may witness future events in your now moment events. You may get taken back on a previous past timeline within your current timeline. And again, it will happen so quickly, but you will notice it more so now than ever. It'd be too obvious for you to simply shrug your shoulders and say, I was imagining that. No, because there will be multiple witnesses that see these different occurrences that we speak of. So many, in fact, that it will be no longer acceptable to shrug your shoulders and say, oh, I was imagining that. You weren't. You won't. You're experiencing these things. So this year is going to be quite something else for you all. And the reason why we're saying all of these things to you is to get you prepared for it, and so that you're vibrating at the vibration of love and light and acceptance, rather than denial and fear. We're wanting you to expand your consciousness and grow and have the best life that you can possibly have. instead of being fed breadcrumbs, so to speak, by the powers that be. That's another tangent that we wish to communicate on. The fact that up until this point you have given your power away freely, openly, to those that control your land, shall we say, the decision makers, when in actual fact they do not control your land. As a collective, you all control the land, as you are all connected. You all play a role in it. Your energy, where you place it, your decisions, your choices, the words that you use determine where that energy is going. And so if you are cajoled or manipulated in such a way that you do not see it, and you blindly give your energy and your free will away to these individuals, then of course that is your choice. But when you become more conscious that it is your choice, it always has been your choice, and that you're giving this energy, this power away to these individuals, then when you become conscious of that, you will change the way in which you think, in which the way that you vote with your energy. In other words, you will restrain the need to give your power away to these individuals or ideals that you once did openly and freely. Instead, you will consult the wisdom of the emotions of your heart and the feeling tone within your heart. And when something feels right, you will experience that vibration of being correct, of the truth. When something tugs at the solar plexus and around the stomach area of your physical body, you will know that this energy is quite constricted. It's quite upsetting to the stomach. It may reflect in the way that you hear different noises coming from your stomach and your digestive system, as this energy is playing havoc with your physical body, vehicle. This will be your indication to let you know that this is a lower base frequency, negative energy, and that you choose to, not to give your power away to it, as you're only feeding it, you're only empowering those that control your lands and make the decisions, you're giving your energy and power away to it. So instead, if you feel that joy, then make that your decision-making process. When you align with joy, you know it, you feel it, you celebrate it, and you know that that's the right course and choices of actions to take. So we just wanted to point the obvious out to you before the year fully unfolds. But this year will see you taking your choices and energy back and making more decisions from the heartfelt perspective, helping you to help yourself and also helping you to inspire others to do the same, to align with the truth of who they are and to see the truth in any one given moment. And it doesn't matter how that truth or untruth is portrayed to you, you will see beyond those limitations, those masquerades that have been presented to you, and you will see with your heart. So we hope this little bit of a transmission to you today has certainly put you in good stead for your year ahead, 2023. And he's giving you that encouragement and influence, positive influence, so that you can connect with the truth of who you are in this year and celebrate all your successes in a way that empowers not only yourself, but all those in your community, raising collectively the consciousness of your planet. And in doing so, great changes will occur, as all of the old, unnecessary, lower base frequency energies will be witnessed rising to the surface, having no place to run or hide anymore. This will in fact be very eye-opening and liberating for you all as a species. And when it gets to that stage, you simply let that energy go and prepare for your heaven on the earth place to unfold. Until that point arises, we will continue to influence and guide you in a way that is connecting you to the truth of who you are in your heightened state of awareness. We wish you positivity, love, and high vibrational occurrences within your year 2023. But for now, we bid you a farewell. God bless, and thank you all for listening.
Wow, again, what a fantastic transmission from the world of spirit there. Some fantastic content there that was shared. I found it fascinating that we're all going to go through a process of unfolding and unfolding to our best version of ourselves. Also, the frequency changes that we're all going to experience, those heightened vibrations, and recognizing our own truths and sticking with that, not letting anybody else take us from that vibration. And what did interest me was the fact that we're going to see other truths unfolding globally as well. So I don't know what they are, but that certainly does sound intriguing. And the fact that we're all going to come together, unity, form our own communities there, bond together and collaborate. I found that particularly exciting to find that out. Manifesting quickly. Now, I've heard this a few times from my own guides. So it pays us to be conscious about what we're thinking about, what we're feeling, what we're spending our time and attention on. Because as that communicator quite rightly said, these things are going to happen a lot quicker. So whatever we're focusing on is going to come into our reality. So there's a little bit of a heads up, a little bit of a warning there for us to be more conscious about where we're placing our energy. Speaking of energy, it was interesting to hear that we're all going to experience energetic upgrades, so heightening our vibration, changing our frequency so that we can interact with this new vibration of Mother Earth as we've moved into a new year. So that was interesting. And an intolerance of certain food and drink. Now that is very interesting. I've experienced something like that similar myself recently as well. So it's good to know that I'm not going crazy by going through that process, and that there is a method in Spirit's Madness and why we are changing our tastes in terms of food and drink. Obviously to keep that vibration high so that we can stay in an alignment with these new frequencies that are in and around us right now. Witnessing different dimensions as well. That is interesting also. I keep saying that word interesting, but I do find listening back to the trance communication there fascinating, because obviously when I'm in trance, I don't recall any of this information. So I get very excited, as you can probably tell in my voice there. So witnessing these other dimensions, and I'm sure we've all seen flashes out the corner of our eyes. We've seen things occurring in the sky, different light emitting frequencies there. So that's interesting to know that that's on its way. And ultimately to trust our hearts in our decision making process. So again, a fantastic transmission there from Spirit. So we're going to move on to the next segment of the show, which is your weekly energy forecast reading for this week. So sit back, relax, and here's this week's energy forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 9th of January, 2023. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I consult the wisdom of my angels, guides and helpers, my spirit team, and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot card. So what I'm about to do is shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out at random. And right on cue, one has just done that. So this is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. I'm now going to link into the energy of the card and bring forward the information for this week's energy forecast reading. So straight away, what I'm feeling, the energy around this card, is that this week you're going to be very aware of the changes that are happening in society. And also, I'm being told to tell you not to judge these differences that you're observing. In other words, you'll notice the split in people's consciousness. There'll be those that will, shall we say, believe in the narrative, and there will be those of you that will trust your intuition and you'll trust that process. And so that split will be beginning to be obvious to you all now as well. There's also an urge for you to trust your intuition more so as this week unfolds, simply because you are going to notice that there's a lot of changes, like I say, happening around yourself. And there's going to be elements of yourself that aren't actually aligning with who you are anymore. And so your role is to recognize that this week and to start and make those choices, make those decisions in order for you to align with the truth of who you are in this present moment of 2023. Because there have been some subtle shifts that have happened during the course of the late December of 2022, and now these shifts are now playing out. So watch it and be aware of that as well. There's also going to be inspiration that's going to strike you this week as well. Ideas to help make your life a lot simpler, to flow more, so that you feel more content with how your life's unfolding. And so when this inspiration strikes, it's entirely up to you whether you trust that intuition, whether you trust that vision, and whether you decide to put that into action as well. With this being the case, you will be required to spend some time out in nature if you can, to get yourself recalibrated to the new energies of 2023. And this will allow you to percolate those ideas, things that you've had in the background of your mind that you've wanted to do for such a long time, only that you've been giving yourself that negative self-talk. And up until this year, you're now going to allow that door of opportunity to open up, and you're going to explore it with playful curiosity. So be aware of these changes coming in. Also, watch out for your sleep patterns improving. Now, what I mean by this, you'll find that you'll be having less sleep, yet you will feel more recharged. That it will be strong sleep. So what I'm talking about when I say that, uninterrupted sleep patterns, but it will be for shorter lengths of time, but you'll feel more refreshed as a result of going through that. Can you also pay attention to your throat chakra and expressing yourself more clearly, more openly, so everybody is on the same page? If you don't do that, there's obviously going to be some confusion as you start your year of 2023. So make sure that you're expressing yourself clearly and openly. I'm now going to turn the card over for you and go through it. So at the top of the card, we've got number 20. So I want to give you the angel number of number 20 to go and research, as there will be some additional content and information should you choose to do that. Right at the top of the card, it says renewal. Well, that would go in line what we're talking about. The renewal of you, the emergence of you, the new version of you. Letting go of those old belief systems, those old patterns, those old narratives that you've clung onto for such a long time. And in doing that, it's going to allow the new version of yourself to be birthed into this year. At the bottom of the card, it reads reflection, self-evaluation, and rebirth. Well, again, that goes in an alignment with what was channeled there as well. So it's telling you basically, we mentioned earlier about you going out in nature. This is a great place for you to go through that reflection phase in your life, and also letting go of those old energies, doing some grounding work, being present, appreciating nature, appreciating wildlife, and just observing it. This is a great tonic for you when you're wanting to reflect on how your years have gone prior to this one, and what have you learned from it. So being in that state of calm, that ease, that grace will allow you to do this as well. Self-evaluation, definitely. You'll start to realize that there's facets within your life that aren't serving you anymore, and they've reached an end. And it's going to take a lot of bravery, a lot of courage for you to come to this realization and actually say, do you know what? I'm going to let that go now, and I'm going to move on. Even though I don't know the outcome of this new path that I'm treading, It feels right for me to do so, and I'm going to trust those vibrations. That's what it's telling you to do. And obviously, with you following all of that inspiration there, you're going to come into a rebirth within the new version of yourself for this year. This version of yourself is going to be a lot more confident. You're going to be more straightforward with your communications. You're not going to want to dilly-dally around with your words there. You're just wanting to make the most of every second of the moment of your life. So that will indicate that for your rebirth of this year. Looking around the artwork of the card, we've got some blue and purple around the edging. Purple to me would represent that you are protected. It's safe for you to be yourself. And also it would indicate that the world of spirit is around you, encouraging you, pushing you forward, incremental steps so that you're not overwhelmed with the information, with these new changes that are coming in for you, once you've made that conscious choice to do so. Blue would indicate emotions. It would also indicate, like we've said, communicating clearly, more directly, and not being afraid to do so. You're going to find yourself doing that more so this week. Like we say, it's going to be incrementally, so it doesn't intimidate you in doing that, and also it doesn't frighten people away with you being more direct. They're going to find it refreshing that you are that way. Looking into the artwork of the card, we've got this feminine energy there and angelic energy. And as you can see, she's got a horn there, or a trumpet, or whatever terminology you wish to use for that instrument there. But anyway, she's blowing that. So that would indicate that it's time for you to blow your own trumpet. In other words, start and talk about your successes. Start and talk about the things that you do, that you're proud of, that you feel in an alignment with, and start and tell people about that. As a result of you doing that, it's going to help other people. It's going to help them. They're going to spread the word. They're going to let people know what you do. And you're going to feel more accomplished when people come to you and ask you, oh, I hear that you do this. Yes, I do that. And you'll have that self-confidence rising as well. It's telling you to pay attention to your feminine energies, so that sensitivity there within yourself. Trust those little nuances that you're picking up, and know that you're not making it up. They are correct, and you are to trust them implicitly and go with that energy, and you'll be surprised at how that unfolds for you. This year's going to see you taking flight. It's going to see you actually soaring to heights that you never perceived you could reach prior to this year. But it's all up to you. It's all up to you to release the old versions of yourself and to go on these new adventures forward, to put that first foot forward and trust the process. Once you start and do that, then you'll notice that your vibration will change. You'll have an influence, a calming, positive influence on all those people around you, and it will be very, very noticeable. There'll be periods of time where you do feel as though you're drifting off in the clouds, like this divine feminine is, and so you will be needing to do constant grounding work, keeping yourself present in the moment in order for you to continue to succeed for this year. So that is your forecast reading for this week. I do hope this aligns with you. Thanks for hearting, liking, commenting and sharing. It's very much appreciated. If you've enjoyed what you've seen on here and you would like a one-to-one private reading with myself or recorded forecast reading with myself, you can contact me at my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or find me on Facebook, glennboddicespiritualmedium.com. In the meantime, you can catch me every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on pulsetalkradio.com on my radio show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help. In the meantime, have a blessed week, everybody. Take care. Bye for now.
Wow, it sounds like we're in for an interesting week this week, doesn't it? So let's hope we're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and paying attention. Thank you, everybody, for listening every week. It is very much appreciated by myself, my spirit guides, and also pulsetalkradio.com. If you do have any show suggestions, any ideas, and you want to get in contact with the show, contact me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can find me on Facebook. In the meantime, have a blessed week, everybody. See you same place, same time next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice
spiritual medium.